government's official position is not to speculate on this subject. We can choose to let our minds explore other possibilities, to use our imaginations. For if we consider that astroscientists agree on one point, that the possibility of life elsewhere is not only quite probable, some feel it is there without a doubt. Let us suppose then that these objects are real space vehicles, extraterrestrial in origin, and not an illusion of the mind.
There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide at all.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Somewhere in the Live Stream. It kind of looks like we're somewhere in the wrestling ring tonight, doesn't it? I should explain my background if you're watching this on YouTube. I literally just came over from doing a recording of my wrestling podcast, Somewhere in the Ring. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe. If you don't like wrestling, that's okay. Please subscribe. Yeah, it's been a busy day. You know, for a lot of people out there, weekends are their time to rest and relax. That is not the case for me. I do a lot of my work on the weekends, actually. So it's been a busy one. A lot of errands, a lot of running around today. And then there was a big pay-per-view event for WWE wrestling last night, Survivor Series, War Games. And we had to do a quick review of it to get it out there. And it was an incredible event. And we had a great time. It was me, my co-host Andrew, and our good friend, comic book writer. I believe he writes for DC Comics right now. He's writing Harley Quinn, Batman, Aquaman. He's got a new comic book out called The Pedestrian. His name is Joey Esposito. So if you don't know who Joey is, go follow him on Twitter, on Blue Sky, find his work, support his work, and support The Pedestrian, his brand new independent comic that he has created. I'm going to be going to my local comic book shop tomorrow and picking up the first volume. So yeah. We're going all wrestling tonight. You got the title belt, you got a little Bret Hart action figure, you've got our logo right here, and a Survivor Series hat as well. There we go. A lot of new stuff tonight, guys. The little peek behind the curtain. I do these live streams on a desk. So basically, I have a desk that faces a window over this way, and every time I do these live streams, I have to lift the entire desk, rotate it, I don't know, like 180 degrees, and put it in front of this background that you see. So every time I do this, I'm like lugging stuff back and forth. But I got a brand new desk. It's doing amazing. I love it. I got a new computer chair that's been a lot more ergonomically good for me. Or is that the word? Ergonomically? Arg. Sound like a pirate. So there's a lot going on tonight. It's going to be a crazy show. You are somewhere in the drone zone. That's right. We're going to be talking a lot about drones tonight, so I apologize in advance, but that's what's going on right now. But we got some UFO stories for you as well. But before we do anything, I want to say hello to a bunch of people. We have UFO Focus Podcast is here. Hello, my friend. Very good to see you. Guys, if you're not subscribed to the UFO Focus Podcast, go do that right now. We're actually going to be doing a fun crossover show with UFO Focus Podcast in the near future. So be on the lookout for that. Check out the work that he's doing over there. And I have no doubt you're going to like it. Another UFO podcast that is just trying to get the information and the truth out to you guys as best that we can. So subscribe to that, please. Hello to Ruth, fighting off a third. Migraines. I'm so sorry, Ruth. I know the feeling. I get them as well. So I'm wishing you well. Hope you feel better. Hello to Cordwainer. Hello to Robert Chafee is here, and he asks, what's on the bar tab tonight? Good question, buddy. Tonight, I am going old school and simple. Maxon? I've never had this. Maxon Stout. Let me know, UKers. Is this like a standard here? I've seen it everywhere. I love the simple lighthouse sort of label there. Show us your booze. Love it. So I'm cracking this one open, guys. I'm usually a Guinness guy, but I found this one and I thought, why not? Why not give it a try? Looks nice and dark, right? Nice dark stout for these wintry times. Uh-oh. That is a lot of head. That is a horrible pour of a stout beer. Please do not judge me on that. I will get better. I will get better. I should. I was a bartender for 12 years. Anyways, what's going on, guys? Let's talk. Let's talk UFOs, shall we? Hello to Robert, Kurt. Jim is here. Who else we got? James Craig, welcome, welcome, welcome. Richard is here. Dalen, J. Allen Heineken, Pat Gallagher, Richard Barron. I just want to take a minute. Hello to Camila. Marty Weir's joining us over on Twitter. Donnie Falls is here. Jay Rosenberg. Repost is here. Joseph. Wow. Awesome. Zutex over on Twitch. Hello. Adam Vice, excuse me. Robert Zimmer, welcome, guys. I want to take a moment just to thank you guys. I was thinking about this today. Like, yeah, Suzanne and I put a lot of work, trust me, a lot of work and effort into these live streams every week. Whether it's the news stories we're researching, the spreadsheets and the notes that Suzanne sends me, or the 10 pages of notes outlines that I usually have that I'll be reading from tonight. We do put a lot of work and effort and time into this every week. So that's what I want to thank you guys for. It just astounds me that like you guys would take time out of your Sunday afternoons, mornings, evenings to like hang with us for a couple hours every week, especially our regulars. Like, it's just so cool that like you carve time out of your day to be here and be a part of this community and family that we're sort of growing here at Somewhere in the Skies. And it's not lost on me. It really isn't. So I do really, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank you guys for giving me your time. And in return, like just being a part of this, it's just so cool. It's so cool that you allow me to do this, that you follow everything that I do, whether it's wrestling or UFOs or ghost hunting, which I have a fun, cool update about that later in the show as well. But yeah, thank you. That's all I really wanted to say on that. Thank you. Thank you. Speaking of community, the Discord is up. There should be a link in the show notes below. If it's not, I'll be sure to get that to you guys very soon. The Discord is ready to go. I talked to my guys over there who have built it and put it together. So we want to build an awesome community over on Discord so you guys can chat all about the show, all about UFOs over there. And then we can implement that into the following week's live streams as well. So be sure to join the Somewhere in the Skies Discord right now. I'll have links. I'll be putting it all over social media. I think I already have. If you go over to the Somewhere in the Skies Twitter account. There we go. Suzanne's a pro. So there we go, guys. All right, I have done enough blabbing. Let's get to the latest UFO news. And unfortunately, the first story we're going to start with is a little sad. And it has to do with, we've lost a lot of people in the UFO community in the past, couple months now. And just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, we lost 2 more in the past 2 weeks. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here for you guys. Oh, man. We lost the one and only Christopher O'Brien recently, who, as you guys know, is a big hero of mine. I did repost a replay of my 2.5-hour interview with him that I had the incredible opportunity to do somewhat recently on the podcast where we talked all about his cattle mutilation research, his research into the San Luis Valley, and everything in between. It was by far one of my favorite interviews I've ever done on the podcast. And unfortunately, we did lose Chris very surprisingly recently. So rest in peace, my friend. And I hope you're finding the answers you always sought in life. And that also has to go for Emily Trim. Now, I know a lot of you in the community know who Emily is and loved her, and she was such an incredible individual. For those of you who don't know, she was one of the school children in the Ariel, Zimbabwe UFO encounter that took place. She's been one of the most outspoken witnesses from that event, and spoke at a couple conferences, and just such a kind soul, with her time, with her insights, with her true, honest, raw, vulnerable thoughts and theories on what happened to her and all the school children when they were younger. And she was an artist as well. She did some beautiful art about her encounters and her ever evolving experiences, contact experiences. And we unfortunately lost her this past week too. So yeah, it's been a tough week in the UFO community, but I want to wish the friends, family, colleagues of Emily Trim and Christopher O'Brien, I want to send them all of our heartfelt condolences, sympathies, and best thoughts and prayers. We hope you can somehow get by through all of this tremendous loss for the UFO field. That's for sure. So this goes out to Christopher O'Brien and Emily Trim, and yeah, for both of you, I hope you finally find the answers you sought in life. That's for sure. All right, guys. Let's move to some more stuff here. Oh, yeah. Super Chat's open. I saw we got one already, so I do want to say thank you so much. Thank you to Jim. Appreciate that, my man. All of the super chats and donations tonight, guys, are going to our Buy Ryan a New Microphone Fund. You can see my sad old Yeti blue snowball microphone here. It's probably about 10 years old at this point. I lost my good Shure mic in travel. It just couldn't hack it. Couldn't survive the constant commuting back and forth from Canada. So, yeah, any donations tonight in the super chat, in the super stickers, on PayPal, on Buy Me a Coffee, all of the links for those are in the show notes of the show. We'll have QR codes up and stuff throughout the show too. You can help our Buy Me a New Microphone Fund. I know we have a goal. You can do goals on YouTube now, so you can help us reach our goal there as well. So thank you, guys. Thank you. Jazz Shaw, yes, we lost Jazz as well as Howard Hughes. Like I said, it's been a rough month, guys. Been a rough month, but yeah, we carry on. We carry on. We remember the good times, and yeah, we take what we learned from each of these individuals, and we commemorate them and we remember them through their work, and hopefully passing it on to a new generation of truth seekers when it comes to all of this. Mike looks like a blue Yeti orb. A blue orb. I love it, James Craig. Yeah, we're going to be talking orbs later, buddy. That's for sure. Let's do it, guys. Let's get to the news. You have waited long enough. And our first story comes to us from Australia. Australia, mate. What was that? I don't know what that was. I apologize. I don't do accents. So our first story comes to us from, what is the website? abc.net. This is a news network in Australia. And I'm going to be pulling some stuff up here on the share screen. We're very makeshift tonight, guys. Yeah, I got a slideshow, but it's not as good as it usually is. Got a few videos for you too. But yeah, Australian Institute funds research into UFOs and unexplained phenomena. So we have another institute coming to you guys to investigate UFOs, and that's from Australia. So a big hello to Grant Levac if he's out there watching as well. So cutting edge observations, facilities, rigorous scientific research, and peer reviewed data are among the aims for an Australian institute wanting to better understand UAP. They will be called the Non-Human Intelligence Research Institute, or NHIRI, based in Australia, and it will be funded by independent scientific research projects um, and whatnot. And whatnot. I don't know what that was. We have talked about this story in the past, but there's been some movement on it as well, as you'll see in this video. The institute was founded earlier this year by biotech entrepreneur Anton Uvarov, who is a self-funded selected research projects, who has self-funded research projects from around the world. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is play a clip. This comes to us from the news site that I just mentioned, abc.net. And yeah, you're going to recognize a couple faces in this video. And we'll talk a little bit more about this on the other site. So let me share screen this, and we'll get to that in a second. Here we go.
Considering research proposals from around the world, the Non-Human Intelligence Research Institute is asking the big question: are we alone?
We're not going into it with any preconceived conclusions, but we now have technologies.
Can you guys hear it?
Radar, cameras, audio receivers, gamma receivers. We can measure for all manner of things and see what's there, and we can reach conclusions based on that data.
It comes off the back of an intense public interest in unidentified anomalous phenomena, the modern terminology for UFOs. A NASA probe last year into hundreds of UAP sightings found no evidence UAP had extraterrestrial origins, but the space agency also could not rule out that possibility.
There are a lot of people who are genuinely intellectually engaging with this subject, and they want to do research that allows them to test for the possibility.
Australia's military doesn't have UAP reporting policies internally or for the public, seeing no compelling reason to divert resources to the specific recording and investigation of UAP. So, the Institute says it's taking research into their own hands.
We're going to subject it to the same kind of scrutiny that all good scientific research is subjected to. And if we think that we've found something that is significant enough to share with government, of course we would.
Funded by Perth-based entrepreneur Dr. Anton Uvarov, it's backed exploration projects in areas known for unexplained phenomena, as well as a grander plan to build cutting-edge observation facilities. The Institute recently digitised dozens of Australian UFO cases dating back more than 50 years, the lifelong work of researchers Bill Chalker and Keith Basterfield. Among the many cases include the unexplained Tully flying saucer nest.
This is where, in 1966, a young farmer saw something he couldn't explain, right before he discovered a circle of flattened reeds in this lagoon.
What he saw was something that I don't think he ever forgot. It was a UFO rising out of the lagoon.
The Panisi family still own the sugarcane farm where it happened and say they kept finding those same strange markings for decades. But the stigma and ridicule of the UFO topic meant they kept it quiet.
In Australia, rightly or wrongly, for much of the last 30 or 40 years, we've responded to UAPs with stigma, ridicule, and taboo.
Daniel O'Neill, ABC News.
There we go, guys. Love it. Shout out to Dayland. I know Daylan was in my second book, Stories from Somewhere in the Skies, and she had a UFO encounter in Australia, in the outback at a military installation. Not even when they, oh, sorry, I missed that. Not even when they play around with ADF, thank you, Suzanne, personnel late on a Saturday night on RAAF Tyndall. Yeah, crazy. If you guys don't know Dalen's story, get my most recent book, Stories from Somewhere in the Skies, and you will hear one of the craziest close encounter cases I've ever heard in the best of ways. It's stories like Dalen that they're so unique and so complex that those are the cases that I love, because it just, and this is no offense to you whatsoever, Dalen, or to anyone out there who shares stories with us here. I tend to believe stories like that more because of how obscure they are and just out there. So yeah, I can't even imagine being in your shoes or your military boots when you experienced what you experienced. So yeah, crazy. So there you go, guys. That's our first story about this new institute being sort of spearheaded by Anton Uvarov and Ross Coulthart. There's no dollar figure publicly available on how much the institute is willing to invest. It says it has received several proposals from scientists in Australia and overseas, and has already funded an expedition to Brazil, as well as an archival project in Australia, as mentioned. So pretty cool. Let's move to another story here that comes to us from Connecticut in the United States. And this story comes to us from News Nation. And this was an interesting UFO sighting. And I'm going to share a video with you guys. It's kind of long, but we'll see. We'll see how the video goes. We might have to cut it at some point and move on so we get in the drone zone. But this story, like I said, comes to us from News Nation. Police officer captures video of suspected UFO in Connecticut. So a veteran Connecticut officer has come forward with a detailed account of what he describes as a close encounter with a UAP during what was otherwise a routine midnight shift in April of 2022. In an exclusive interview, Robert Klein, a 25-year law enforcement veteran, told News Nation's Banfield on Wednesday about an incident near a local reservoir in Fairfield County, where he encountered a spherical object approximately the size of a Mini Cooper hovering just 30 feet from his patrol car. So I'm going to go ahead and play this news clip, guys, and we will talk a little bit more about this on the other side.
Version may not have been too far off, at least not from what a Connecticut police officer named Robert Klein saw back in April of 2022. Officer Klein is a married father of 4 and a 25-year law enforcement veteran in Lower Fairfield County, about 40 minutes north of New York City and about a par 5 from where I live. I am showing you a reenactment of what the officer saw, okay? So you can kind of see from his perspective what this is a reenactment, though. I just want you to know that this guy is not a random nut job. He's an officer of the law. As a UFO spotter or anything else, he is what my business calls a highly reliable source. Did I mention he coaches football and basketball in his off hours? And on that particular April night, Officer Klein was barely into his overnight shift when he says his patrol car filled with light on a dark stretch of road that runs along a lake. Sounds a lot like what Richard Dreyfuss saw. You're watching this really well done reenactment of his experience. The light was different from anything he'd ever seen before. It glowed like this, like red and green and white and orange, changed colors over and over, and it hovered over his car before flying, zipping across the lake in the blink of an eye, AKA not earthly speeds. That was a lot for him to take in. And beyond telling his partner and a couple of his buddies what he saw that night, he wasn't too keen on letting anyone else know. It was just a lot. It's a lot to process. And he hasn't gone public with his close encounter until tonight. Officer Klein joins me exclusively right now to share his story. And trust me, he brought the receipts, as in video of his own, not reenactment, his own. Also want to welcome back to the program Ben Hansen. Ben is the host of UFO Witness on Discovery Plus and the first expert
Shout out, Ben.
Officer Klein reached out to. Ben, welcome back. And Officer Klein, thank you so much for being here. It's really good to see you. I really appreciate this.
My pleasure. Thanks, Ashley, and happy Thanksgiving. You're right. I think people are going to be talking about this around the dinner table.
I think so. Happy Thanksgiving to both of you. Okay, Officer Klein, I'm going to start with you, and I'm just going to give you the floor. Take me through the experience. We've seen the reenactment, but I want to hear you tell me about it.
Sure. I had just started my midnight shift, which is 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I was approximately 40 minutes into the shift, and I was checking up north near the body of water, which is a reservoir. As I was about 250 feet in, all of a sudden, from my left rear, there was a really strong light. It lit up the entire cab of my cruiser to the point where I was having a hard time driving because I really couldn't see it. I was blinded by it. So I immediately put it into park, rolled down the window, and blocked the light with my hand because it was very intense to see where it was coming from and what exactly it was. At that point, the light started to move along the left side of the cruiser until it stopped right in front off to the left. As I looked up, that's when I saw this object. It was approximately 30 feet away from me. It was fairly close, and it was probably about the size of like a Mini Cooper, and it was a perfect sphere, and it almost looked like plasma moving constantly, and it was changing colors from red to green to white, and then it repeated the colors again. At this point, I was perplexed and confused at what I was looking at because I'd never, in 25 years working as a police officer, encountered anything like this. And when I came to, I took my spotlight and shined the light at it. And as soon as I hit it with my spotlight, it instantaneously moved across the body of water. And that's when I sort of snapped out of it and took out my camera and started recording and taking pictures.
Okay, well, that's a really good cue for our control room to start moving away from the reenactment and moving to your video, the video that you began shooting as you realized this thing just moved at warp speed. So this is, Officer Klein, your iPhone camera? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes.
And this is the point where it's already gone across the lake, right?
That's the end of it. There's a beginning part where you get a better view of it over the water.
Oh, come on, show that.
We may have to re-rack it, which we'll do. We'll show that. We're going to show this a couple of times, so I don't want our viewers to worry. But the interesting thing that, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you took out you've got like a handheld strobe. A lot of police officers have like a flashlight that can strobe. When you hit the UAP above you that was, straight above the cruiser with the strobe, that's when it blinked and instantly was across the lake. And if that's correct, how far did it go and how fast?
It was instantaneous. And when I mean instantaneous, it was in front of me, and then it wasn't. It was over the water. I couldn't see it go from A to B. That's how fast it moved. And at that point, I took out my camera to begin recording because I knew I had to get evidence of this.
Officer Klein, you're the guy I call if I see it. What was your instinct when you'd gone through? And of course, you're alone out there. What was your instinct? What did you want to do? What did you end up doing?
To be honest with you, I was trying to just process what I was looking at. I've been doing this job for 25 years. I've seen my fair share of drones, meteors, and everything else. And I knew that this was something that I've never come across. It wasn't a drone. I can guarantee you that. And it was something I still, to this day, I'm perplexed. And like I said, I was fairly close to this thing, 30 feet. I got a very close-up view of it. And I froze. I wasn't in fear. I just was really trying to understand what exactly I was looking at. And to this day, I'm just perplexed by it.
Officer, I know, I think I know what you were going through in terms of thinking through, what do I do with this information? Who do I tell? How big a deal do I make of it? Obviously, my life's been rattled, but, I don't want people to think I'm crazy. And this is, I think, what a lot of people go through when they witness these unexplained phenomena. So that's where, Ben, I'm going to get you to jump in, because ultimately he ended up reaching out to you. So, Ben, take it from there.
Yeah, so reached out to me through one of my websites, and he started telling me his story, and he said that he had video of it. And I have a team. A lot's happened in the past year, Ashley, since we've been talking. I put together a team of former intelligence analysts and law enforcement, and I can't do all this myself. So our team got to work, and we started interviewing him. He gave an amazing interview, and to have the video itself, I think is icing on the cake. I think people need to understand when you have a witness that comes that close, especially somebody who in law enforcement capacity, skeptics will try and look at the video and say, okay, well, this could be any number of things. We're lucky we even have video, but if you can't dismiss the beginning of the event where unmistakably you have something the size of a car, which incidentally, if anyone is watching the hearings lately with they had mentioned a similar event on the West Coast with another police officer who described the object the size of a Prius. We've had these sightings. They're not quite uncommon, where people describe them as a mini sun or something of nature, where they describe kind of like a plasma type exterior that changes colors, that pulsates. So imagine this being 30 feet from you, just like in Close Encounters, which was really one of my favorite movies. And it shines a light. And Robert told us the light was not kind of illuminating other objects and bouncing off of the nearby, road and rocks. It was strange because it was isolated just to his car, basically, and he couldn't figure out how that was happening. So the other thing I'll point out is that a lot of people, they wonder, why don't they take out their phone earlier? This is very, very common, where someone is so kind of like in a trance and blown away by what they're seeing, they don't think to record. And we're lucky that we got anything out of this. So it's a lot to unpack. It's just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, so much that our team is going to be going out to Connecticut on the ground, because we've uncovered up to a half a dozen different witnesses, we believe, to the same phenomena.
All right. I think that's enough, guys. This clip is like 10 more minutes long, but I think you get the gist of it. This is such an interesting case. I mean, I know it was in 2022 and everyone's like, so what? Like, it's just a story. It's just one person's testimony. Like, what does it do to further the conversation? Well, every story furthers the conversation, in my personal opinion. Hell, I've written 2 books about it. I will always stand behind witness testimony. I will admit that it is extremely fallible. Stories change as time goes on. What movie was it? I think it was Heretic. I just saw that recent movie Heretic with Hugh Grant, and he had this line in it that really struck me about, like, he was explaining to these 2 Mormon missionaries that were coming to his house. See the movie. It's a fantastic movie, by the way. But he brings up this idea that, like, when you have a memory, it's not actually a memory of what happened. It's a memory of your last memory of an event. So you've got that whole, like, mirror staring into a mirror, staring into a mirror, into a mirror, into a mirror, and it changes, the further you go back or the further you go forward. So that really struck me, that, like, you're never truly remembering something. You're remembering the last time you remembered it and what you remember from that. So a story can change drastically. I cannot argue that. I cannot debate that. That is true. But when all we have sometimes is to rely on witness testimony, then, that's that's all we have. With this case, we have witness testimony and video, which is great. Now, I've seen arguments online recently, and I tend to agree to an extent with them, that you look at something like the reenactment, right, that we saw, done by Finn Handley, by the way, who has done animations in the past for some of my witnesses, actually, for my presentations that I give across the world. So shout out to Finn Handley. He does incredible work. He basically will create an entire animation around your UFO sighting, and so many witnesses have been like, oh my God, like, you captured it so brilliantly. He does great work, great work. All this being said, what we're seeing in the reenactment is according to the witness, the cop. And, it's super dramatic and everything. And then when we see the video, that's where everyone's like, oh, it's just like a freaking light in the sky far off in the distance, like, big deal. Like, he has this incredible story versus the video. And, you know, I can't argue that. I wish we could have seen more of this, and I wish we could have seen, you know, when it was 30 feet from him, and when it was above him, and the lights were, you know, enveloping his car, and to see it dart off towards the water and all that. But that's not when he was filming, unfortunately. So, you know, it's such a give and take when it comes to that sort of stuff. Witness testimony versus video footage. And we will be talking about that later in the show when it comes to some other stuff. Michael Huntington says, claims are not evidence. Evidence must be evident and with full provenance. That's fine, Michael, if you don't think it's evidence. But it's something. And like, again, like I will say this. Maybe it's not evidence, but there would literally be no evidence to ever investigate if there's not a witness, if that makes sense. They are the first point of contact. They're literally the observer observing the phenomenon. And okay, fine. Maybe a camera catches something or some sort of sensor system, and boom, there's data, there's evidence, but there was actually no witness to see it. That's fine. That's a whole other argument to have. But for me, I do consider it evidence. It's evidence that can be debunked. It's evidence that could be wrong, but it's evidence. Like, I guess I do disagree with you respectfully. Like, it's part of it. It always has to be. We are nowhere without the observers of these things. Some may argue the observers actually make it worse. I'm torn. I just don't know. I don't know. But I thought this is an interesting case, an interesting story to talk about. I look forward to any developments or investigations that Ben Hansen does further with this. And yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. I do want to say hello to Michael Huntington. Metal Hendrix is here. Rodrigo is here. Gareth is here. Got a lot of people over on Twitter today. That's cool. I'm glad your messages are coming through, guys. Thanks for being here. And of course, as always, to our Twitch streamers as well. I know we're growing gradually over there. I think we're up to like 17 followers, which is awesome. We don't promote it as much as we should. That's for sure. But we are growing over there too, as well as on Discord. So that's cool. Hello to Sal as well. Some gotta be drones, no? Possibly. Let's move to our next story, guys. I thought this would be another cool one to talk about. It's one of my favorite cases of all time, and that is the Rendlesham Forest incident. And that, gentlemen, on your screen, if you're watching this on YouTube, is Philip Mantle, who joins us pretty often in the chat. Unfortunately, he's not here with us tonight. I wish he was here because we're going to be talking all about an article that he was quoted in. This comes to us from Metro UK. And basically what this article asks is, has the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident been explained? Michael Huntington. Good to see you, buddy. Get well, Philip. Is he sick? Oh no, what's going on? I hope he's okay if something's wrong. But let's talk about this interview that he was recently in. The Rendlesham Forest incident, where members of the U.S. Air Force stationed at RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge in Suffolk, England. There's a reason we're bringing up this case, guys. U.S. military bases in the UK. Sound familiar? Yeah, we'll get there. Bentwaters, Woodbridge, Suffolk, England reported seeing unexplained lights and a craft in the forest in December of 1980. And it has left people puzzled for decades over what the cause of the lights could have been. Witnesses, including high-ranking officers, described seeing glowing metallic triangular object hovering and emitting strange beams of light. Yet, despite official investigations by the US and UK militaries, no explanation has ever been found. But Philip Mantle, the former director of investigations for the British UFO Research Association and an author, is convinced that something happened over those nights in 1980, but doesn't necessarily think aliens were involved. So in this, Philip Mantle says, if you look at what those involved said to begin with, the only concrete info was that they saw strange lights in the forest. That's what we start off with. Now, Jim Peniston, which is one of the key witnesses, guys, one of the U.S. key witnesses, he underwent hypnosis a few years back. And under hypnosis, he said that he saw a craft and that it was a time machine from the future. Okay. So that upped the ante, that leveled up, as the kids say. And look, we have these thoughts, theories. Michael Masters talks about it all the time, the extraterrestrial, us from the future. I dig it. I love it. I think it's just as viable as other explanations. But this is what Jim Peniston said. Peniston, a U.S. airman who claimed to have not only witnessed the craft, but actually touched it, is considered one of the most credible UFO witnesses in history. That's from Metro UK. I'm not the one saying that. Yet even his testimony has shifted over the years from seeing strange lights in the woods to claiming to have encountered time travelers. What we're looking at is contemporary folklore in action. That's what Philip Mantle said. In 100 years' time, people will look back at this incident and it'll be classed as myth and legend, just like the Loch Ness Monster or encounters with fairy folk. He says, we class those things as myths and legends, but people who experienced them at the time didn't. It was very real for them. And when given his verdict on some of the common theories about the encounter, Philip Mantle is sympathetic to some, but dismissive of others. For example, the notion that the troops were behind the incident is rubbish, he says. So he doesn't think that this was some sort of prank or anything like that, or that this was like a experiment, I guess, per se. These were nuclear facilities, and this was 1980 when the Cold War was getting very hot, Philip Mantle says. This isn't the kind of place you'd start pranking when the stakes were so high. So what did happen in Rendlesham Forest? And is there any explanation that can make sense of it all? Philip Mantle says that between 1997 and 2000, the Ministry of Defense conducted their own investigation into UFOs known as the Condign Report. One of the authors of this report, Dr. Ron Haddow, said the source of these phenomena was not aliens or anything like that, but a form of unknown plasma. He was concerned that the plasma emitted some kind of electromagnetic energy, which could interfere with aircraft communications or cause some sort of cognitive impairment. Philip Mantle says it could be that these soldiers came into contact with these strange plasma, and one of them got too close and suffered from some of the electromagnetic effects. Mantle added that the soldiers may have ended up having hallucinations as a result of the plasma. This is where the theory is so out there, but it reminds me so much of Nick Redfern's book, the Rendlesham Forest Conspiracy, maybe it was called. Oh gosh, I'd have to go back. I did an interview with him all about it where he also brings up these ideas that maybe this was some sort of hallucination that these guys were having, or holograms, which is crazy to me. Let's see here. I'm going to sort of fast forward. I don't want to read the whole article. That's not what you guys are here for. One of the things, Philip Mantle says, one of the things a lot of UFO researchers are totally ignorant of is a thing called confabulation, where sometimes you'll take information from an external source, but over time come to believe it actually happened to you. So he's saying that maybe some of these guys were kind of adopting certain aspects of what they experienced onto themselves and what they experienced and whatnot. And that's how myths and legends grow, Philip Mantle says, by storytelling. It gets changed and altered, not on purpose, but completely by accident, and that's a natural thing. Yeah, that, like we mentioned earlier, that could be the explanation for a lot of witness testimony and why it changes over time. It's not so much someone's building on their story or lying, it's that they are misremembering, filling in gaps, or, you know, subconsciously adding things that were not necessarily there. Hello, Carolina Garcia. So good to see you in the chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Eric, as well, for being here. Let's see. Philip Mental concludes, UFO researchers, myself included, all suffer from confirmation bias, and we subconsciously look for things which confirm our biases. Whatever happened at Rendlesham is a fascinating incident on its own right, and I'm sure its legend will only continue to grow in the years to come. There you go, guys. That's our speed run on the Rendlesham Forest incident and Philip Mantle's thoughts on what it could and could not be. Could it have been some sort of hallucinations due to some sort of electromagnetic plasma? Interesting nonetheless, and the mystery continues on the Rendlesham Forest incident. Funny story, little fun fact for you guys. I wrote a one-man play about the Rendlesham Forest incident. It's been one of my most widely produced plays ever. It premiered in New York City. Gosh, man, 9 years ago, maybe at this point. It then traveled to Chicago and played in Chicago for a while. It's been done in, where else was it done? I want to say Michigan at one point. And yeah. So it's one of my most popular plays that I've written to date. Was a one-man show about this very incident. We made it into a short film as well. I think I might have a link on my YouTube channel somewhere where you can see that. Actually, I'll try to find that for you guys if it's still up. But yeah, I was planning on writing a feature length, full length play on the incident, according to the accounts of Larry Warren and Peter Robbins. But they've since had a falling out, and it came to light that Larry Warren may have been less than honest about his involvement in this entire case. So I kind of had to drop the concept of that play. But it doesn't mean it's gone or dead forever. I might revisit it someday, but sending my love and my best out to Peter Robbins as well. He's dealing with a lot right now when it comes to what's going on with the Linda Corteil case and Netflix and all that. So always sending him my best. That's for sure. Thank you so much to Aether Bunny. E.T. Third Bunny. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I love it. Your work has led me down so many fascinating rabbit holes. Would you be open to digging into secret government tech, alluding to our ability to manipulate plasma? It doesn't do away with NHI theory. It enhances it. Hell yeah. That sounds awesome. I'd love to go down that rabbit hole. Aether Bunny, take me down there. Let's go. I would definitely be down for that. You guys know Porton Down? Should look into that. Just saying. Ether Bunny. That makes much more sense. Thank you for being here, guys. Thank you so much for your support. All right. What's our next one here? Those pesky little drone zones. We are heading on the highway to the drone zone. But before we do that, guys, I'm going to take a very, very quick break and reorganize here. Take a few sips of my Maxon Stout. And I will see you on the other side. Go grab a drink. Get ready for the drone zone. We are going to party it up like never before and talk all the latest going on in the US and the UK. A little scary, not going to lie. We have some awesome clips from our good buddy Andy McGrillen over at that UFO podcast with a recent interview he did with defense writer and Debrief co-founder Tim McMillan. We'll be talking all about that and all of these strange drone incursions on the other side. So stick with us, and we will be right back with more from somewhere in the live stream. Greetings, everyone. Ryan Sprague here, host of Somewhere in the Skies. For over 7 years and more than 400 episodes, the Somewhere in the Skies podcast has always been free to listen to, but it's not free to create. So we offer several ways to help support our efforts and get rewards in return. If you listen to the podcast on Apple, you can click the subscribe button at the top of your Somewhere in the Skies feed to become a premium Apple subscriber. Or you can join our Patreon campaign with several tiers available. Both of these options give you the same benefits and rewards: ad-free episodes, early access to the main show, and bonus episodes and content. Help keep the lights on at the Somewhere in the Skies HQ, and help us continue to grow by becoming a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/somewhereskies, or by clicking the subscribe button at the top of your Apple feed. Thank you for your continued support, and keep looking up. Welcome back, guys, to Somewhere in the Live Stream, and thank you for joining us tonight for what will be a very eventful live stream, that's for sure. We have a lot to discuss. We just discussed a lot, but before we go any further, yes, if you'd like to help support the show, you can do it in many different ways. Super Chat is open, PayPal, buy me a coffee. It's all good, all there, all groovy. Or you can join our very active Patreon campaign where you get rewards in return. You can learn all about that in the show notes below as well. And you can join Apple Premium too. Why not? If you're an Apple subscriber, just click that subscribe button at the top. Boom, done. No more talking money. Let's get the drones. That's why you're here. Or is it? It's kind of sad, right? When like all the UFO talk is about these things. But hey, been a crazy couple months with them. So let's talk about this. This story originally came to us from Tyler Rogaway at the War Zone. So I want to give him extra special credit and a shout out. Wonderful work over there. The War Zone were the first to really dig into the U.S. drone incursions that happened recently over Langley. Suzanne and I were able to dig up some drone swarm stuff that happened near Area 51 all across the U.S. Kind of scary, kind of alarming. But now they made their way over to U.S. military bases in the United Kingdom. 4 of them. What the hell is going on? Oh, man, let's dig into it. The story comes to us from the Debrief. Micah Hanks. Drone incursions over U.S. sites are on the rise. So, several days ago, U.S. defense news site The War Zone first reported a series of drone sightings occurring over air bases in Britain, beginning with what was characterized as a multi-drone incursion over RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk, England. Rendlesham Forest, anyone? In the days that followed, several more incursions reported occurred over RAF Mildenhall, also in Suffolk, and RAF Feltwell in Norfolk. Subsequently, it was confirmed that similar sightings of small, unidentified unmanned aerial systems had also taken place at RAF Fairford. Whew. A statement released by the U.S. Air Forces in Europe, Air Force Africa Public Affairs Office, stated, quote, "To date, installation leaders have determined that none of the incursions impacted base residents, facilities, or assets. The Air Force is taking all appropriate measures to safeguard the aforementioned installations and their residents." The statement said the number of drones and their size and configuration have varied across each incident, all of which reportedly occurred since November 20th. The USAF declined to comment on whether protective measures were taken during the incidents, while noting that such activity may be deemed appropriate if any indications of threats from the objects were detected. These incidents come on the heels of 2 government congressional UFO hearings, both in the House and Senate, and drone swarms being reported at Langley Air Force Base and over Area 51 in Nevada. Once the story of the Langley drone incident began receiving significant media attention, it was no surprise that some began to associate the sightings with what the Pentagon now calls UAP, traditionally known more simply as UFOs. Such suspicions have proliferated on social media and various news sites in recent weeks, where a few commentators have questioned whether the drones seen over military bases like Langley in the US may have actually been UAP. So, I'm going to hop off of the article and just talk a little bit about this with you guys. It's a little troubling, you know. When the whole Russia-Ukraine thing started, I was living in New York, and, you know, Putin was doing his thing, waving the saber and like saying, you know, he's going to blow up the United States or the rest of the world if they tried to stop what he was doing, blah, 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 blah. And it was scary times. I'm not going to lie. Like, these were like, I was having some end times feelings, dreams, nightmares, and stuff like that. And it was super freaky. And now fast forward, it's 2024. We've got a terrible war still going on between Russia and Ukraine. We have a horrendous thing happening with Israel and Palestine and Gaza and everything in between. We won't get into politics and specifics on all that, but it does kind of coincide with what is going on here. Now, these incursions of U.S. military bases in the United Kingdom, apparently jets were scrambled at one point to try to investigate these things. All types of technology is being used to try to figure out what they are, where they come from, all that good stuff. And to my knowledge, they have not made anything public on where they think these came from, who's in control of them, what purpose they really have. But it's troubling. It's troubling. Are these aliens? No. I'm sorry. They're not. These are drones. They're drones. But it is still worth talking about. And we'll get to another story in a little bit that kind of juts up against all this. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because basically I'm scared, like living in the UK and this is going on over here. I'm sure you guys are a little alarmed by all of this. Who's doing it? Why? Why are so many drones being able to go over military bases? Like, what purpose is it? And it's freaky. It's freaky, especially when we live in an age where like spy drones are like the hot thing. This is how wars are being fought now, through spying, through information. We live in an age of information war, and it's freaky. It's freaky, but it's not as uncommon as we think. And that's kind of where I want to go to next. So I talked about how Andy McGrillen over at That UFO Podcast had Tim McMillan on the show recently, and they talk about this. And I'm glad they did this interview because it shed a lot of light on it for me personally, and I think it will for you guys too. So let me go ahead and play this first clip right here about why this is maybe alarming, but it isn't unique. And for some strange reason, that actually comforts me a little bit. But let's play the clip and we'll talk a little bit more about this and move on to more specifics after.
Going on. There are objects above multiple bases. Do you want to share your thoughts on what you think may or may not be happening here?
Sure. I mean, the first thing I'll say is that with this story, it's really taken off in the past couple of weeks or so going on. The UK can't control their airspace. These NATO bases can't control.
Or not. Sorry, guys. Not sure what happened with that clip. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to play anymore. Let's see. Maybe it will. Are we getting... Guys, it's happening. It's happening, guys. We are being shadow banned. I can't believe it. Hold on. Let's try it again. I don't know what's going on. This should work. Oh, it was such a good clip. If not, we'll just talk a little bit about it. Yeah, it doesn't want to play. Weird. Let's try this one.
Story that broke in the
Okay. I don't know why that's not working. I apologize, guys. So basically what Tim talks about in this is that there were basically in the past year, 600 incursions of drones over sensitive installations and military installations. 600. So when you look at these 4 events in the UK, while it may seem troubling, this stuff is very common, very, very common. And you may ask, well, why aren't they shooting them out of the sky? Why aren't they just taking these things down? That's just not the way it works. Like if you shoot it out of the sky, like it's that old, adage in the US, like shoot first, ask questions later. Like you start to, you might lose information on where these things come from, what's going on, being able to trace them back, track them back, stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting. Trying to think of what else was said in the clip. I wish I could pull these up, but I edited them myself. So let me see, actually. Let's give this a try because I really want to play it for you guys. Maybe I messed it up. Give me 1 second. Let's try this. Give me 1 sec. So we're going to take this off. Welcome to How to Use StreamYard 101, guys. Okay. Let's give this a try.
not necessarily related, but it's come up at the same time, was of an orb.
No, wrong clip. Sorry. Hold on. Where is it? Okay, I'm not finding it. Sorry, guys. Okay. Well, there we go. Welcome to Somewhere in the Live Stream, super live tonight. I'm going to go up into the chat and see what you guys are saying about all this, first of all, before we get to the second part of this. Chameleon says, they must be damn good drones if they have that much range. Oh, for God's sake, they're not drones, Pat says. Yes, they are, buddy. I'm sorry. Let's see. Joseph says, plenty of effective anti-drone weaponry being used in the Russia-UK war. Drones would be brought down very quickly. Right. If they can track them, then this is a serious issue. It can't track them. This is a serious issue. So Tim brings up in this interview too, that lately what they're doing, Russia has been actually like pinned with doing this. They're sending these like carrier freighter, like shipment container freighters. Wow. Across the sea. And then they're deploying the drones from these things and then just letting them go out and do their thing. Like that's not, there's no picking up the drones. It's whatever data is, captured by the drones is sent back somewhere. I don't know how all that stuff works. And then it's like, all right, they're like kamikaze drones, basically. It's like they get shot down, they're done. No distinguishing, features or IDs on them, anything like that. So that's how they're kind of doing this now, is they're like shipping them across the world so that the drones don't have to fly from Russia to the UK or from China to the UK or whatnot. Like they're sending these shipment containers across the sea and then deploying the drones. So yeah, that's kind of how a lot of that's happening now. And they don't care if they get them back or not. It's interesting. Robert says YouTube is on to us. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that clip. I'm so bummed that it didn't work. I must have messed something up. Daniel says, I don't know. I have to agree with Pat. If they were conventional drones, the military would shoot them out of the sky, especially if they are oversensitive military sites. I'm open to that. Look, maybe I rush your judgment. I can't say that all of these are drones. I don't know that. Nobody knows that because they're not making any of the information they do know public, which could be for very good reasons. There's probably investigations going on as we speak. Apparently, these things are still happening. I mean, Chris Sharp over at Liberation Times is saying that these incursions are continuing, and he's hearing about more and more of them every day. So, yeah, it's interesting. So a lot of incursions are happening. Everyone's spying on everybody. This is no revelation. It's all happening. And it could be a show of force. A lot of people are also asking, like, why would they want to be seen? Like, why are they making themselves so obvious and whatnot? And it could literally just be a mind game. Like, yep, that's us. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, I mean, they could do something about it. But, you know, it's like a game of chess. It always has been. It always will be. Man. Cold War 2.0 happening right before our very eyes. Whew. I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing wrestling. If you haven't noticed, a good distraction from everything going on. But it is concerning, and I understand like the debates and everything going on about all of this, and you know, make of it what you will. But let's move to this other story that kind of got lumped into a lot of this. And this was the incident that happened over Manchester Airport. So this recently happened on Twitter where a story including blurry photos and a short video started making the rounds on social media. It was posted on Twitter, and then the original poster disappeared. Account gone. So everyone's wondering what the heck's going on. So this object allegedly was seen at Manchester Airport right on the tarmac. If you're watching this on YouTube, what you're seeing is this strange spherical object of some sort, which almost seems to be hovering a little bit off the ground. Allegedly, this thing touched down near the runway and then shot back up into the sky when approached by security. It landed and took off vertically, roughly the size of a small car, according to some accounts. So, woof. It's a big blue ball, baby. What is it, though? Is it real? This photo seems a little enhanced, so I can't really make heads or tails of it. This is interesting. People were going so far on Twitter as to hypothesize about what this thing could be. Like, literally sketching it out, breaking it apart. This comes to us from I Am UFO Hunter on Twitter, of like the different pieces of this thing. Oh man, it's so interesting. Man. Has anyone found the security guard who saw this? I didn't know a security guard saw this. See, I mean, the story's all over the place with all of this. I heard that it was just a couple people in their planes that saw it on the tarmac. But apparently this thing shot up into the sky. So let's look at a video that was posted with the original photo here. It's very quick. Take a look. And that's it. That's all we get, guys. That is all we get of the video. People went nuts over this thing. Whatever this blue spherical object was that was said to be at Manchester Airport. And Andy McGrillen, doing good work over there, did ask Tim about this. And I have that clip. Let's see if it plays. Hopefully we won't have any issues, but let's give this a watch.
To not necessarily related, but it's come up at the same time, was of an orb or round object, at least, spotted in the skies above the airport in Manchester. It caused planes to be grounded. There's a video of a small round object in the sky. There's a couple of photographs of an object on the runway. One of them's pretty clear and is taken by it looks like pilots in the cockpit of their aircraft, sitting waiting. It wasn't that it happened in the last few days. It was actually back in June the incident happened, but it's only just been released. And I wondered if you'd seen this and what your take on it was.
I've seen the pictures and the short video. And so, obviously you raised the question, why didn't this come out in June? Why is it just now kind of coming out? Did it come out in June, but nobody really picked up on it? And because you have these other drone incursions now in the UK, and this was at Manchester, we can kind of lump it in and kind of goes viral, which is not out the realm. As we know, the original Tic Tac video was shared many years before it became a thing, and nobody paid attention to it. So, that could be the case. I don't know. I looked at it. You're right. The image is very clear. Obviously, this is not a drone of any sort that I'm familiar with. Frankly, it's an orb or a balloon. Not to make anybody mad with the balloon, get mad for the balloon explanations, but if you're going to ask me what type of objects are able to sustain flight that are that shape, it's got to be something lighter than air, balloons, or something truly exotic. I don't know, because we don't know. The short video that I saw, it looks like a balloon to me. If we're just using the short video, the orb on the runway kind of looks like a balloon, but I don't know. One of the things that's a mystery is the sequence of events. I know that it was reported that it was on the ground and then took off, like we're seeing there. So obviously, that wouldn't be a balloon. So, but
the frustration there, Tim, is we hear that really important piece, and I'm sure you're looking, going, okay, show me the video of the object being on the ground and then shooting off into the air, and it's like there isn't one, at least that we know of. And it's like, okay, so what I've got is an object, like you say, could be a balloon. There are some altered pictures where people have changed the colouring, saturation and whatnot, and it makes the thing look a little bit more freaky than it could be. It could literally just be the way a piece of material is layered. And again, folks, I would love this to be an alien orb or drone or spacecraft. It's just what it might most likely be. And then, like you say, the object in the sky, where's that bit in the middle? And it's just the UFO conversation in general, isn't it? We always miss the piece in the middle.
We always miss the piece in the middle. Such a good way to put it. I mean, take for example the video we showed earlier with the Connecticut cop. Like, okay, we saw the orb-like, sun-like sphere out in the distance over the lake, but where was it when it darted out there? Man. And we get the same here. Like, so Andy and I were talking off air kind of about this whole thing, and we have no firm conclusions, obviously. But it does seem that this is there's no way of knowing. There's no data on this. There's no one from the airport coming forward, really. Yeah, actually there is. We'll get to that in a sec. But like, we're seeing this video of something far off in the sky over a tarmac, fine. But how do we know that's at all connected with this orb thing that was on the tarmac that I personally, I hate to say it, but it looks like it might be fake. Like it was digitally put in there. That's just my opinion. I clearly am no photo analyst or anything like that. That's not the kind of UFO research I do or investigation. But yeah. I share in Andy's frustrations that we always miss what's in the middle. Like, why do we just get that tiny piece of video? Ugh, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. But some people did some good work on this. And look, these are just certain people's opinions, thoughts, and theories on this stuff, guys. But Dave Beatty over on Twitter, you guys may know Dave. He had a wonderful film that came out about the Nimitz encounter. One of the first to really break that story, actually, in the mainstream. at least. And he reached out to Manchester Airport and to their public affairs or something like that. And he got some responses about this entire thing. And he did post them on Twitter. So let me go ahead and pull this up here for you guys. So Dave says, I contacted the airport press offices, and the official statement from Manchester Airport is that it didn't happen. And the images are doctored. So take that as you may. But they are saying they believe it's a hoax. This was the response Dave got. Hello, Dave. The incident in question didn't happen, I'm afraid. We believe the pictures circulating on social media have been doctored. Thanks, Mike. And then later, that same person told Dave Beatty, yeah, although we don't actually believe any balloon ever touched down, there's a video that shows something in the sky which could be real and could show some kind of balloon. And then we suspect that the still photos of the object are fake and based on that. So make of that what you will. That's the official stance of the Manchester Airport. We can scream cover up all we want. We did it during Chicago O'Hare too. So why not do it with Manchester Airport too? I don't know. I look, the drone incursion thing is one thing that we have to pay attention to. But I don't know. I'm not feeling this blue orb thing, guys. Just my personal stance on it. This will probably be the last time I talk about it. Ryan's famous last words before that orb starts showing up everywhere outside my window and abducts me. Could it be a drone? I've seen videos going around of there are drones now where people will literally put like a spherical encasing over it to protect it, basically. I don't know. Welcome to ufology. Jim, why would it bother with Manchester Airport? It's crap. That's hilarious. It looks similar to the Mosul orb, Pat says. Interesting. Yeah, I forgot about the Mosul orb. Who knows, Pat? Who knows, man? Oh, hit that like button, guys, if you don't mind. Could you do that for me right now? Hit that like button. Helps us tremendously. Subscribe, turn on notifications, all the good stuff. I'm just going through the chat. Told you it was super laid back tonight. You guys having a good time? Sorry for the snafu with the video. I got a little all over the place with that. There were a few things I did star here that I wanted to read. Oh, Zutix over on Twitch said, shooting things down during peacetime is not so straightforward. You have to take into consideration where the debris would fall, not to injure anyone. Yeah. So that's why they're not just like shooting these things down. It could be a safety concern. Again, it could also be, I mean, the incursion itself could be considered an act of war. Let's be honest. But so could shooting something down. So when tensions are high, if they think this could be Russia, maybe they don't want to mess with it. Tim McMillan does believe, he says in the clip that we were not able to see, unfortunately, that he does believe this is Russia. Russia did have drones over Germany somewhat recently. There have been incursions in a lot of different places, Scandinavian countries, places all across Europe. Like Tim said, this is not new. This is happening all the time. Everywhere. US is doing it too. We ain't no innocent bystander in all this. That's for damn sure. Just reading your stuff, guys. Trying to get you more incorporated into all this. Dalen says Russia is being particularly provocative lately. It's making everyone nervous. Yeah. I mean, they always are, but it's like, it's reaching new levels. And all these people who've come forward, Grusch, Elizondo. Like, maybe they all saw this coming. And I'm not saying that the stuff that they promote or are talking about doesn't have to do with ET or aliens. They clearly believe that some of it does. But a lot of it, I do wonder if strategically, with intelligence that they have gathered, and the things they've done and the things they've worked on, that they saw sort of this provocative nature of Russia coming back in full force again. And maybe this is kind of why they wanted to get all these things in place. Not only to maybe find or solve or understand a quote-unquote ET hypothesis or non-human intelligence, but also to protect these nations. I mean, look, we opened the apertures over NORAD. What do we find? Chinese drones everywhere. And maybe national security-wise, the United States or North America are better off now because they did that. And you can code it, enrobe it, as it were, with UFOs or little green men. But at the end of the day, like, it's always going to come down to UAP. And that UAP is often probably from a foreign adversary. Not always. Don't worry, guys. I haven't gone over to the dark side yet. But we have to be skeptical sometimes. I don't believe that any of these drone incursions are anything but drones. I'm just going to say that. Grusch. Want to hear a fun update on Grusch? Not about his lawsuit, but his IG investigation. Tim McMillan teased something on that UFO podcast this week, so I'm going to go ahead and play this clip, and we're going to start to wrap things up, guys, because we have droned on long enough.
What happened from the last hearing in July 2023, whereas Grusch's op-ed, where is David Grusch in general, where are the witnesses and whistleblowers we were going to get coming forward? We haven't really had it. It felt like that hearing happened, and if everyone held their breath at the end of that hearing, we're all still, we're blue in the face at this point waiting on that.
Yeah, and ironically enough, we talk about what I have or haven't been working on in the UAP space in the past year. What will be coming up, and who knows, December tends to be a pretty busy month for a variety of reasons. So
No. It happened again. Hold on. I think I actually have the clip here. Let's see if this one works. I don't. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to these clips tonight. I think Andy is copyright striking me. What's up, my man? We talked about this. We're going to look out for each other. I'm just kidding. Something clearly happened with the transfer of these clips over to StreamYard, and I do want to apologize for that. I've been having a lot of issues with StreamYard lately. A lot of issues. Audio, downloading stuff. It's bad, and their prices just keep going up. So we'll see if we're going to stick with StreamYard in the future to do these live streams. We might have to find a different outlet. So what did Tim McMillan talk about in terms of David Grusch on Andy's podcast? You'll have to go listen and watch. No, I'm just kidding. I'll tell you a little bit. Tim is coming out with an article about David Grusch. Apparently, the IG investigation has been completed, and the results are in. And what Tim discovered and what they told him is going to leave us with many, many new questions. He did not elaborate, except to say that things are still happening. Things are still moving. Yes, David Grusch is currently dealing with a lawsuit with the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office about, we've been there. We've talked about it. We won't get into it. He has a lawsuit right now with them. But the IG investigation is apparently done. And it, what Tim says, lends some credence to the Immaculate Constellation documents. I don't know what that means. Maybe we'll find out sooner than later. Tim said maybe December, which is today. Happy December, guys. Or by maybe the beginning of 2025. A new article on David Grusch should be coming out over at the Debrief. So stay tuned for that. Maybe we will learn more about Immaculate Constellation. We will definitely learn more about what David Grusch has been up to and what happened with that investigation that really put all of this into motion. So it's going to be interesting couple months moving forward. Buckle up. I've set up a Google alert for the Grusch IG report when it comes out. Boom. She's on it. Thank you, Suzanne. That's great. That's really, really great. So yeah, that's kind of going to do it, guys. I know things are a little messy tonight. I apologize. We had some tech issues. I was very last minute with a lot of stuff due to previous engagements, but I hope you enjoyed what we talked about. I don't want to get too down on everything, but a lot of drone stuff going on. It's boring as hell, but it's also alarming as hell. So we do have to pay attention to it. And hey, maybe one of those drones will turn out to be a drone from Zeta Reticuli. Only time will tell. I'm looking at you, Avi Loeb. Oh, speaking of which, he'll be coming on the show very soon. So will Beatrice, who you guys may remember. She looks a lot into dying stars and stuff like that. Brilliant. She's going to actually be coming here to Edinburgh in Scotland, and I'm going to be doing a in-studio interview with her for the podcast. So that's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about all the latest stuff she's been working on with the Galileo project, with her own independent projects that she does, and so much more. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout tonight for a brand new episode of Somewhere in the Skies podcast, The Ohio Night Siege, a UFO creature invasion. This was a fun one, guys. So I have put together a very dramatic story about a case that happened in Ohio. I believe it was back in the 70s. And it's crazy. It's got UFOs. It's got Bigfoot creatures. It's got little box robots. You name it, we talked about it. It's such a fun, terrifying, cool episode. And I can't wait to share it with all of you in the coming hours. So be on the lookout for that on the main feed of the podcast coming to you tonight. And also, the following week, we will have a brand new Witness Accounts episode, volume 34, I believe. 34. We've done 34 volumes of Witness Accounts. So if you're not familiar, that's a series we run on the podcast where it's just you guys telling your UFO stories in your own words. And I can't believe we're up to 34. I mean, that's hundreds and hundreds of cases at this point. So you're going to hear some really interesting stories, one of which comes to us from our very own Suzanne Landers, our brilliant moderator. She told the story in the past, but we thought because we have so many new listeners and now you can put a face to the name and to the voice, you're going to hear about Suzanne's personal UFO account in this Witness Accounts episode. And we've got a case out of Australia. We got a case, of an obelisk. Oh, it's crazy. We got some really stunning UFO accounts, and you're going to hear all about it in the following week on the podcast. So be on the lookout for that. And the reason I'm bringing that up too is I want your stories. If any of you want to share your UFO stories on the show, we are always taking submissions. You can shoot me an email. Email is in the show links. or you can reach me on social media, DM me, whatever, and I will talk you through how to submit and the details for that. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Witness accounts, let's go, Metal Hendrix says. Dalen is excited as well. Oh yeah, duh. I know it's all about wrestling tonight. I know my background. I just recorded a wrestling podcast, like I said at the top of the show. But I do want to ask you guys, we're a brand new wrestling podcast and we're going up against some big, heavy hitters in the wrestling space. So even if you're not into professional wrestling, like I crazily am and always have been, just go over, hit subscribe, check out a couple episodes. You never know. You might actually like what you hear. My buddy Andrew from New York and I have just such a good time talking wrestling. Like I said, we had a huge pay-per-view event that took place last night in Vancouver called Survivor Series. So we did an awesome review of that. That'll be out tomorrow as well over at Somewhere in the Ring. You can learn more about it at somewhereinthering.com or just subscribe wherever you get Somewhere in the Skies. But do us a huge favor. Rate and review the show as well, if you can. We really desperately need those ratings and reviews, specifically on Apple Podcasts. So again, I know not all of you listen over there. You might not listen to the wrestling show at all, but if you could do us a huge favor, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review for Somewhere in the Ring. We're having the time of our life over there. We put just as much work into that show as we do Somewhere in the Skies. So please, that would mean the world to me. What else do I have here? Oh, we hit top 40. We hit top 40 on Apple Podcasts this past week. Again, we surpassed some of the big shows out there. We won't name them, but you know who they are that are always up at like the top. So we had a few days of bragging rights there. So thank you. Thank you to all of you who took the time to listen to all of our latest at Somewhere in the Skies. And yeah, it means the world to me. Let's break top 30 next week. Rate and review Somewhere in the Skies as well. If you can, download all the latest episodes. And I will be forever thankful for that. And I know we did a poll over on YouTube, so I do want to get to that before we close things out. Let me refresh. Oh no, I got a whole space sort of computer console set up here and my computer's about to die. So I'll quickly read the poll results. I asked, is the blue orb a hoax? And you guys said out of 93 votes, 20% said yes, it's a hoax. 24% said no. 46% said, I don't know. And 10% said, I don't care. Drones are invading. So there you go, guys. There you go. Most of you believe that you don't know. And that should be the answer because we don't know. We don't know. I don't think we ever will. It is weird that the original poster of all of that is gone, like disappeared, ghosted us all. That should tell you something. In my past experience, that's for sure. And my last announcement before I let you guys go. Thank you to all 665 of you who tuned in tonight. That is insane. I cannot thank you enough. Amazing news. So for those who don't know, I am part of a team in Nova Scotia that hunts ghosts. I'm on a show called Haunted. I love it. We just filmed season 13. Season 11 is playing right now on Eastlink in Canada. So if you live in Canada, you can go and watch it right now. It's on every Friday. Friday or Saturday, something like that. We will be rolling out episodes on YouTube as well, so everyone around the world will be able to see the show. Seasons 1 through 4, I believe, are available right now. You can watch those. But on the Haunted front, I got my own show. So my co-investigative partner, Amy Murphy, who was on Haunted, we got a spin-off show, and it's going to be called Haunted Heart and Soul. So basically, this will be a spin-off of the series Haunted, where, again, we go all over Canada and investigate UFOs. Oh, man. Where we investigate ghosts. And the way the show will differ is we're going to be specifically working with family and people who have haunted locations, whether it's a museum or a house or something, and we're going to work directly with the families. With haunted, we tend to go into a space alone, just our team. We don't have a lot of foreknowledge of the ghosts that are haunting these places, and we try to uncover what could be haunting these places. So it's a very interesting approach, and it serves its own purpose. But with Heart and Soul, we're going to go into a place knowing kind of what has been seen there, what is going on. Because a lot of the times people are very traumatized by the events going on, and they're scared with good reason. So we want to go there and try to help them. So that's where the heart comes in and where the soul comes in. Not only will we be helping people, but we want to help the spirits as well. Maybe they need to move on. Maybe there's a message they need to give the community or the house, the people that are living in the house. We want to help try to decipher that message or possibly relay it and help a ghost move on. So, it seems straightforward, but it really will cut to the core and get to the heart and soul of ghost investigations. So we will be starting to film that in 2025, along with filming season 14 of Haunted as well, and season 15. So the ball keeps rolling, and I am having the time of my life investigating UFO. I did it again, investigating ghosts. And I have to thank Ron Foley and Paul Kimball for giving me these incredible opportunities to come out there to Canada as an American living in Scotland and being a part of the big ghost hunting family. So a special shout out to Paul Kimball and Ron Foley as well, and to Eastlink, the network as well. We're very excited for what is to come with all of that. I see some start stuff here. I don't want to go without getting to those. Again, I want to thank Jim for the super sticker, Ether Bunny again for the super chat. Eric, wow, who knew you were an accomplished playwright as well? That's very kind of you. Yes, that's actually, what I went to school for. I went to school for playwriting. And yeah, still doing it. Still writing plays. I'm working on a UFO play right now. Hopefully I'll have more info on that in the future. Who are you going to call? Right. Thanks, Metal Hendrix. Thank you. Thank you so much to Ghost for the super sticker as well. Really do appreciate that. Tesser, welcome back. Been a long time watching live. This is fun. Thank you. I hope you had fun. You're droning to death, Robert says. Love it. Biologist, thank you for a great show. Thank you. Jim, great to see you. Thank you, All Work, Low Pay. Always good to see you, my friend. Daniel says, surprised it's not in the top 10. Oh, the podcast. That's very kind of you. Let's get it there. Let's do it. We did hit number 1 on Apple Podcasts in Canada, but that was like 5 years ago. That was a day I'll never forget. I was at work. I was a barista at a coffee shop. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And, I'll check my downloads every now and again. And I went to my downloads for that week and I'm like, what happened? Like, I literally in the hundreds of thousands of downloads on this one episode. I'm like, what is going on? And then I got a message from my network that we had hit number 1 on Apple Podcasts and we were featured. So that was awesome. I would love to relive that again. So guys, go to Apple Podcasts, rate and review Somewhere in the Skies, download all the latest episodes, and check out Somewhere in the Ring while you're at it. I'd certainly appreciate that. All right. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. Yeah, we're good. Thank you, Suzanne. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us for another episode of Somewhere in the Live Stream. I promise I'll be a bit more organized next week, and I'll make sure our video clips play. I don't know what's going on there. Conspiracy. Play your podcast through the night. Thank you, Jim. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Jim. Thank you so much. I do that too. I listen to podcasts while I go to sleep. I put a lot of people to sleep, I've been told. It's these dulcet tones, or I'm just boring as hell. Either one. Both. That's going to do it. Thank you again, guys, for joining us. Be sure to check out the latest episode of Somewhere in the Skies premiering in just under an hour. And I will see you next week. And I'll leave you as always, with our mantra, keep your feet on the ground, but never stop searching somewhere in the skies. Take care. Get out of the drone zone.
There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide at all.